what's what I've seen is a little bit interesting is, if you have we would generally, an acronym we use is G1, so that would be the wealth creator, and that's somebody that ultimately would be in the situation where they built the family's wealth. Maybe they started the business or started the investments or built up the real estate portfolio. And oftentimes when the first generation grew up, they grew up, perhaps from a very humble place in a very simple beginning. Whereas generation two, their children, they grew up in an environment, maybe being members of private golf clubs or having a cottage or, toy cars on the weekends or, boats in the summer, ski clubs, etc. And I think one of the concerns I've heard a lot is they say, hey, I'm worried if I really disclose what our assets are, my kids are going to take their foot off the gas. They haven't had to work as hard as I did. And then confidentiality, when you introduce spouses and kids' business partners and things, that's another factor. So how do you think families can best deal with those concerns, Tom? Yeah.
It is a really good question, and it is the number one concern on why people don't have family meetings and why they don't disclose their wealth and who's going to get what, because of that concern about how it will damage someone's drive and ambition. But I'm quick to remind someone that if you died in an intersection, you get T-boned in an intersection, and you're not here tomorrow, what happens? Your wealth gets disclosed. Listen, we don't know how this ends. Life doesn't come with a script where we say, in 2038, on 4 p.m. on a Friday, my life ends. And that's so just before that, I'm going to disclose. And it just doesn't work that way. So I think, and this is, again, part of the message in the book, if we are wealth creators and we have created wealth, we actually have a duty and a responsibility to the people who matter in our life to make sure that they are prepared right now for that wealth to transition in the event of something unanticipated. But that's where the proper design of a family meeting and the reliance on a third-party advisor in that family meeting to manage that disclosure, the confidentiality agreement, the mission statement, teaching people that even though this is what my intentions are, this is what my expectations are for how inherited wealth will be treated. So high-functioning, high-performance families they bake into their culture and their family traditions and their conversations this understanding that with inherited wealth comes great responsibility. I inherited in 2012. Mark, I haven't touched a dime of that inheritance. It's because of my connection to that wealth through storytelling and understanding what that wealth was for. It's not for purchasing a suit or a car or a golf membership. It's there for an emergency. It's there for education. It's there for philanthropy. It's money that is moving through me to the next generation. It was framed that way. I'm not a saint. I have no problem spending money, just not that money. It's different. It sits in a separate account. That is what family meetings can accomplish. Letting people understand how they can be connected in a healthy way to that inheritance. Mm-hmm. Compare and contrast to the family that does this. Nothing. Tens of millions of dollars and not one conversation about what someone would hope that beneficiary would do with that wealth. Nothing. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. That is what the happy inheritor is. Listen, the title, it begs the question, how can you inherit and be unhappy? Well, the book answers that question. There are lots of people who inherit money, and then the questions begin. Why did they put my brother and I in business together as equal partners? Why would they do that? What are we going to do now? Why would they give us equal ownership of the cottage? How are we going to sort this out now? Over and over and over. There's lots of people who think that they're going to get a large inheritance, and then they find that the cost of late in life care, just the longevity of their parents or grandparents, means that there's nothing left. And guess what? Those adult children in their 50s and 60s have been counting on that inheritance, and there's nothing left. And they've run out of time. There's a whole generation that is not saving and investing because they're counting on an inheritance to be their retirement fund. It is a disaster waiting to happen.
Lots to say there.